Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And today's Doctor Who review is none other than An Earthly Child. So, me old Chinas, what is An Earthly Child about? Well, we end up being reunited with Susan Foreman. Or should I say Susan Campbell? So, to catch the long story short, this story takes place a lot of years after the events of the Daleks' invasion of Earth. Susan Foreman has grown up and now she has her own son. Susan and Alex are adapting to life in their world. When all of a sudden it seems like the Earth is really struggling since the fall of the Dalek invasion. Susan's husband has kicked the bucket, and Susan is left in a bit of turmoil answering questions of the public on where they can go forward to keep their society from crumbling. After all the wreckage and all the burning since the Dalek invasion of Earth have pretty much led to student uprisings, a lot of debates about the future progress of who's going to take over, and just in general, a lot of politics, to be fair. So, behind the smoke and mirrors, Susan has called out towards the stars and asked an alien life form to come to Earth and help aid them, especially with all the people trapped on the moon. However, the alien life form that she is asked to help, she already knew a very long time ago wasn't exactly the most hospitable group of people to ask for help. She ends up calling these kind of celestial sounding beings who have come to Earth, who are actually kind of an army force and have only come to Earth because they're taking the mick out of the fact that the Earth is very undefended at the moment. I mean, since the war and since everything, they've decommissioned so much that they're not really prepared for if a war happened tomorrow. And so they're taking advantage of that, and on top of it, they're taking advantage of Susan. On top of this, it turns out that her son is part of a regime that doesn't like aliens, and so the Doctor comes face to face with his great grandson and has this whole kind of talk with him about he shouldn't really be on a bridge, he shouldn't be out late, he shouldn't be hanging around with this kind of extremist group. And Alex Campbell just thinks he's a nutter because he doesn't know at this point in time that he's talking to his great grandfather. Instead, he thinks he's just talking to some kind of rich toff from London. The Doctor continues to follow Alex around, but due to the fact of that extremist group being under fire, the Doctor finds himself banged up in a prison for the night. However, Alex is soon released, and the Doctor is left in there only to bump into his granddaughter, Susan. When the two reunite, the Doctor explains that realistically, rather than sticking up for her in the council chamber, the Doctor should have been having a go at her. But he knows it's an easy mistake made. After all, she's only doing it because the Earth is so vulnerable. By the end of this story, the Doctor and Susan manage to overturn the agreement with the Earth ambassadors with this extraterrestrial life form and send them off into the stars. The Doctor also warns these extraterrestrials that half of the Galactic Senate know about them now and know what they've tried to do to Earth. The Doctor and Susan then take Alex aboard the TARDIS, and the Doctor tries to convince him of all the history, such as Gallifrey and the constellation of Cerberus, and the fact that Susan is also an alien, and the fact that it also is the fact that Alex is technically an alien himself. Alex just goes running off in a tantrum at the end of the story, and Susan follows on after him. The Doctor tries to convince Susan to go off into space with him, but she points out that she has a family now, and most importantly, she has Alex to take care of. They both need to handle the fallout of all of the events that have taken place. And the Doctor he's just got to go back off into the stars and enjoy what he can. The Doctor is broken-hearted by this, but he understands, and so he lets his granddaughter go back to her son, just so that they can essentially get back on with life. So, An Earthly Child. What would I give this out of 10? I love the story. I love the reintroduction of Susan Foreman. And most importantly, I feel like it's so solidly set in stone, this story. And I like the fact that they didn't just jump in there with a Dalek story. I feel like that would have been out of place. I really, really love the premise of this story. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, stay beautiful, you beautiful people.